Shalom, shalom. This is Brother now with Great Millstone, Borderland Saints. Welcome to another video, and as always, before I get started, I want to give all honor, all praise, and all glory unto Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Also double honors to all the head apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who teach and who rule well. Peace, blessings, and safety to all brethren. Keep teaching, keep believing, keep preaching the gospel to the children of Israel, whether they hear or whether they forbear. This evening we'll be taking our lesson from 1 Kings, the 3rd chapter, and we'll be going a little bit into the wisdom of Solomon here in this chapter. And hopefully this lesson mostly will be read. Okay, it gives a clear explanation of itself, so I don't have to dive deep into explanations, but the reading is important, that we understand the wisdom of Solomon, how that he sought the Lord and the Lord gave him great wisdom. So we pray also that the Lord give us wisdom and that we'll be able to serve him. All right. Now we'll start at 1 Kings, the 3rd chapter and the 1st verse. And it says, "And Solomon made affinity with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and took Pharaoh's daughter and brought her into the city of David until he had made an end of building his own house and the house of the Lord and the wall of Jerusalem round about. Only the people sacrificed in high places, because there was no house built unto the name of the Lord unto those days." So Solomon, he took Pharaoh's daughter and brought her into the city of David. All right. And as we all know, Solomon, he loved many strange women, and they turned his heart against him. But Solomon learned over time. Okay. However, he didn't receive the greater blessing that his father, King David, did. King David received a greater blessing. All right. But we do know that the Lord loved Solomon, and Solomon loved the Lord. And he did ask the Lord for wisdom on how to rule over his people. And so we're going to get in here and go a little bit into that. And it says, "And Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of David his father. Only he sacrificed and burnt incense in high places. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. 1,000 burnt offerings did Solomon offer upon that altar." So Solomon was doing a lot of offering of sacrifices, being a king. All right. And trying to make intercession for the people, for the wickedness of Israel. And in service also. So he worshiped the Lord also with these offerings as well. And it says in the 5th verse, still in 1 Kings 3 and 5, "In Gibeon the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and the Most High said, 'Ask what I shall give thee.'" So here's Yahweh asking Solomon, "What shall I give thee?" Ask, what do you want for me to give you? Because Solomon served the Lord, he wanted to give Solomon a blessing. And we'll read what Solomon asked for. "And Solomon said, Thou hast showed unto thy servant David, my father, great mercy, according as he has walked before thee in truth and in righteousness of heart with thee. And thou hast kept for him this great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne as it is this day." So the Lord was blessing David's lineage. All right. And that kingdom went on over to Solomon. "And now, O Lord my God, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father, and I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in." So the Lord had made Solomon, had made him a king. Okay, but he was a young king. And he didn't know the Lord as well as his father, David. So the Lord asked him, well, what would you have me to give unto you? All right, being a young man. And I believe that if I remember, Solomon asked for wisdom on how to rule and how to be a good judge toward his people. And it says in the 8th verse, and thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. For therefore thy servant in understanding hearts to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thou so great a people? So Solomon was asking the Lord to give me understanding to do holy and righteous judgment. That should be the prayer of all of us, that we have righteous judgment. All right, because our Lord is a God of balance. All right, as we know from reading the Holy Scriptures. And he asked the Lord to give him the knowledge how to discern between good and bad when it comes to judgment and dealing with his people, because he wanted to deal with his people righteously. All right. And then it says in the 10th verse, and the speech pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing. So it pleased the Lord, because he could have asked the Lord for many things. He could have asked him for riches. He could have asked him for many wives. He could have asked him for a lot of gold, all the things that typically will come to the hearts of the wicked. But he didn't ask for any of that. He asked for wisdom to be able to judge his people in holiness and in righteousness, which showed that Solomon had a heart. He wanted to do good. He wanted to do right, all right, by the Lord. And it says in the 10th verse, and the speech pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing. And God said unto him, because thou hast asked this thing, and hast not asked for thyself long life, neither hast asked riches for thyself, nor hast asked the life of thine enemies, but hast asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment. All right, so this is what he asked for. He didn't ask for the heads of his enemies, any of that, okay? Nor for riches or long life or anything personal. But he just wanted to have the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding how to judge his people, the Lord's people, Israel, because Israel is a great people before the Lord. And it says in the 12th verse, behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and an understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee. So the Lord gave Solomon a great amount of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Okay, he had great judgment. All right. And then it says in the 13th verse, still in 1 Kings 3:13, and I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches. He says, I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be any among the kings like unto thee all thy days. So the Lord gave him things that he didn't even ask for, because he asked righteously for something concerning doing the Lord's will. So he didn't look at himself. He looked at doing God's will. That was a beautiful spirit that Solomon had. And then it says in the 14th verse, and if thou wilt walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments, as thy father David did walk, then I will lengthen thy days. So the Lord said, I'm going to bless you with a long life too. Because you didn't ask for any of that, but you asked for wisdom to judge my people. And Solomon awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And he came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant of the Lord and offered up burnt offerings and offered peace offerings and made a feast to all his servants. So he celebrated. All right. That was a good reason to celebrate, considering what the Lord had done. Then came there 2 women that were harlots unto the king and stood before him. So here's a test coming. All right. On Solomon's wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And these 2 harlots came before the king and stood before him. And the one woman said, O my Lord, I and this woman dwell in one house, and I was delivered a child with her in the house. And it came to pass the 3rd day that after that I was delivered, that this woman was delivered also. And we were together. There was no stranger with us in the house, save we 2 in the house. And this woman's child died in the night because she overlaid it. So one of these women told a lie. See, putting Solomon's wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that God had given him to a test. And sometimes the Lord's going to test us to see if we really love him. So we have to keep in a clear mindset to do the Lord's will. That's what we should always be asking for, because many things are going to come upon us, and we're going to be wanting to ask the Lord to do something. We may ask him to do something that's not righteous. All right. So we have to learn from these Holy Scriptures what we should ask the Lord for. All right. And then it says in the 20th verse, and she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me while thine handmaid slept, and laid it in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. So the Lord had killed one of the children, but now the women were fighting over the one child that the Lord had left alive. Okay. And one of them was lying, saying that this live child is mine and the dead one is hers. You see. So that was the storyline there to test his wisdom. And it says in the 21st verse, and when I was rose in the morning to give my child suck, behold, it was dead. But when I had considered it in the morning, behold, it was not my son, which I did hear. And the other woman said, Nay, but the living is my son, and the dead is thy son. And this said, No, but the dead is thy son, and the living is my son. Thus they spoke before the king. So both of them were saying, hey, the dead is hers, and the live son is hers. See? So putting Solomon's knowledge to test and his wisdom. All right. And then it says in the 23rd verse, then said the king, the one saith, This is my son that liveth, and thy son is the dead. And the other saith, Nay, but thy son is the dead, and my son is the living. And the king said, Bring me a sword. So here's Solomon exercising this wisdom that the Lord had given him. And they brought a sword before the king. And the king said, Divide the living child in 2, and give half to one and half to the other. So Solomon told the women, Here, give me a sword. I'm going to cut this child up in half. And I'm going to give you one half, and I'm going to give the other woman the other half of the living child. You see. Then spake the woman whose the living child was unto the king, for her bowels yearned upon her son. And she said, O my Lord, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. But the other said, Let it be neither mine nor thine, but divided. You see. So the woman whose child it was wanted to save the child's life. The other one said, Divide it, cut it in half and divide it. She'll take one half, I'll take the other half. But the one who was the living child, you see, said, Lord, okay, give her the child. Just keep my son alive. And this is how Solomon was able to expose which woman was telling the truth, whose child it was. And it says in the 27th verse, Then the king answered and said, Give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. She is the mother thereof. And all Israel heard of the judgment which the king had judged, and they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of the Most High, Yahweh, was in him to do judgment. So the Lord blessed him with wisdom. So when we ask the Lord for something, we should be asking the Lord for things, spiritual things. Don't ask for things of the world, because the things of the world are temporal. Don't worry about riches. Don't worry about wealth and all of that. But be like Abraham, a father of faith, believing in the end outcome that the Lord has promised to those that love him. Because it is written, in my Father's house there is many mansions. If it were not so, I would not tell you. All right, now we're going to stop our lesson there. Short lesson, only about 15, 16 minutes long, but a lesson in humility. All right, and a lesson in having a pure heart before the Lord. Hopefully this lesson was a good lesson to the hopeful elect of the house of Israel. Be blessed. Shalom and a Bible ball.